Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Honor Radio. Today's guest is Kevin Wright, head football coach of IMG Academy Ascenders. I am your host, Coach Soto, and this is Honor Radio.
But I would like to say that, with everything going on in the world, that, we truly want to honor the people that give it all on an everyday basis. And we get an opportunity to play a football game on a Saturday night because of what other people do for us at home and abroad. So we appreciate it. We really do. We appreciate what everybody's done for us. And God bless.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
Okay. Well, on today's podcast show on Honor Radio, we have a special friend with us today. He is the head football coach for IMG Academy, the Ascenders. His name is Kevin Wright, and I got to tell you, Kevin, it is an absolute great honor to have you on our show today. Thank you so much. I want people to know a little bit more about why we're inviting Kevin to be on this radio broadcast. And before I give you a chance to speak, Kevin, thank you. We are all about involving every high school football team that we work with across the nation. The primary goal of the Honor Group and the Honor Bowl is about educating students, coaches, and communities about the needs of our military veterans. And in 2016, we were introduced to the IMG Academy football team, and we had an opportunity to meet Mr. Kevin Wright and travel out to IMG and tour their facility and get to know everybody there, from their, the president all the way down to the ADs and the coaches. And we were absolutely blown away by what we saw. Now, we know there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of blogs out there and a lot of people that say a lot about IMG. And the purpose of this radio show is to have Kevin speak his heart, speak his passion, talk about his history with IMG, what they do at IMG. I thought it would be very good for people out there in high school football land and around the nation to hear more about the heart of IMG. And Kevin, thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here today, buddy.
Thank you for having me, Mark. I mean, it's an honor to be on the show, and look forward to spending a little bit of time with you and just have a great conversation and talk about the military and football and our shared love, I think, for student athletes as well.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. Okay, so tell us about how you were introduced. Tell us a little bit about your history, your resume, how you came to be the head coach of IMG. Give us a little bio on yourself right there.
Yeah, I'm fortunately the son of a coach that has lived longer in the same position than some people even live. He's been my dad, Bud Wright's been a head football coach at Sheridan High School for 53 years in the middle of central Indiana. And that's where he went to high school at. He grew up on a dairy farm, went to Ball State, played a little bit. Now I say played a little bit. He is a towering guy at 5'4" tall. So, it was, truly a guy that had a passion for the game. Ended up going back and really has had, I think he's the 9th or 10th all-time winningest high school football coach in the history, and still going strong. I mean, so he's one of those guys that's always one more year, and but he's in his late 70s and still coaching football. So I'm the son of a coach, and was very, fortunate to grow up in a large family of 5, and it was the ultimate coach's kids experience. I mean, my dad was coaching, my mom was the one that worked the concession stand during the games and washed jerseys after the game. And I went to school with them every day. I was a kid in the locker room, and probably nothing better when you're a young kid to be privy to being in the locker room with the varsity kids, and it was pretty cool. So I got out of college and went to Western Kentucky University and played wide receiver there, and I wanted to go to law school and got an opportunity. I got a call about coaching and teaching, and really hadn't thought much about it. And but I had student loans to pay, and it didn't sound too bad getting a paycheck. So start off my career at North Central High School, which is a very diverse high school on the north side of Indianapolis of about 4,000 students. Coached football, girls basketball, and boys and girls track. So it was a great time, and in my career, and did that for 4 years, and then actually got a call from my dad, of all people, said, I got a great opportunity for you. There's a head coaching job just down the road. They need somebody that's enthusiastic, young, and I said, great. What school is it? And he said, it's the Frankfurt Hot Dogs. And I said, so I've got to be, you want me to be the head coach of the Fighting Hot Dogs? And he said, yeah. I said, great. I said, well, what was their record last year? He said they were 0-10. He said, you got nowhere to go but up. He said, how can there be a better opportunity than that? And I started off at Frankfurt High School, which is right outside Lafayette, and I think we went 500 the first year. And for them it was like winning the state championship. And so I have had an opportunity to go various places, and really have enjoyed the journey. From coaching at Trinity High School in Louisville to coaching at Union High School in Oklahoma to back in my home state at Warren Central and Carmel High Schools. And, really, I got really I would say probably my dream opportunity in 2007 when I got a call from David Elson, who was the head coach at my alma mater, Western Kentucky, and they were transitioning to Division I, and asked me if I wanted to be the offensive coordinator. And David had recruited the high school I was at prior at Warren Central, and it was just a tremendous honor. And so I got an opportunity to coach, to coordinate football on the offensive side. And our first game was actually at the Swamp here in Florida against UF, and they had a guy named Tim Tebow who was making his first start.
Wow.
And what a remarkable experience. I always tell people, we were talking about this the other day, I saw him, I was on the field when we were warming up, and I was looking for Tim, and he's a very impressive looking guy. And there was another guy, though, that was warming up the quarterback that was even more impressive, and I was like, he looks like Superman. And it was Cam Newton, so
oh wow.
So it was a heck of an experience. I always laugh. I said, we got the ball, went all the way down the field, got fourth and goal from the one, got stoned. We should have kicked the field goal and just took a picture, 3-0. But 2 years, I was 2 years there, and got a coach at Alabama and Indiana and multiple other places, as we were making that transition to full-fledged FBS. And then, after that, we all got let go, as sometimes happens at that level. And then a guy named Willie Taggart, who also played at Western, came back in and had some success. But went back home to Carmel High School, and, we were able to win a state championship and go to a couple other state championship games. And then got a call one day out of the blue. We were actually on spring break, and from a guy named Greg Phillips, at IMG Academy, and just want to talk to me a little bit about an opportunity he had here with a program that I knew nothing about. I'd heard of IMG. Really, it was one of those deals where after talking with him, I was really excited about it. But I didn't know much about it. My wife and I we were googling on the internet right afterwards. We were looking it up because we were on spring break, but we were in the Midwest, and I think it was snowy and cold, and South Florida sounded pretty good. I don't know, March, I think, is when it was. And, basically what Greg told me was this, we have a vision, to build a program. We did pro training with Chris Linke, who had started the program prior. So they were a year and a half into the football program. There was 60-some kids, and he said, we've got a vision of what we'd like to do, and we'd like to have someone like you that's coached at high level from a high school standpoint, also coached at the college level. maybe to come in and help be a part. So we visited, and my wife and I have a daughter who's 17 now, a son who's 13 now. We packed our bags like in the old Beverly Hills, show, and we moved to Hollywood. Or
moved to Beverly.
we moved to a place where it's paradise. I mean, we see it all the time. I mean, it's palm trees, and the beach is about 8 miles away, and if it gets in the 60s, people are complaining about how cold it is. So, on top of that, I get to coach football. So it's been it was a great opportunity, and it's been a great opportunity, and just to, this is going on year 5 now. Where we started with 60-some kids. I mean, Chris did an unbelievable job. He worked out of trailers. I mean, and you talked about coming in 2016. We weren't in trailers then, and we've built some more facilities since. But started it in trailers, and nobody really knew what it would be. And and just being a part of the lives of a lot of special young men, and then working with some tremendous coaches has been really a blessing for me, and a tremendous experience.
No doubt about it. I mean, when we visited there, I was just blown away at the facilities and the different academies that you had going. I mean, I know it's all one big academy, but between the tennis and the baseball and the lacrosse and the, I mean, you could just go on and on. They had everything, basketball. It was tremendous to tour. And then you have the boarding facilities and the actual school, which I want to dive into a little bit more on that. When you started with IMG, did you know the history that you would be coming into in regards to, you're used to playing for state championships, right?
Yeah.
You're used to that. And then all of a sudden that's switching for you. How did you handle that, coming from that different world to now a more focused like IMG?
Yeah. Well, I was used to playing for state championships, but, I was also used to building things, and I think my last job at Carmel was really one of the first times, I guess Union too, where it inherited a program that was ready-made to win state championships. You just had to, continue, going forward with what was in place. At the other places, I mentioned Frankfurt, but the first 2 jobs I took were both jobs where they hadn't even won games in the previous season. So I wasn't walking into that here, but also, you're walking into a situation where you're trying to build something and nobody really knew what it was, and or what it could be. And I think that really, it's been a surprise how quickly we've grown and how fast we've been able to kind of put the right pieces in place, maybe the right guys in the right places on the bus, so to speak, and have some success. But I really didn't know, but I knew that we had about 60 kids in spring practice that year, and last year we had 110 kids on the team, and we even played 2 varsity teams, which people, how do you do that?
That's the blue and the white team, correct?
We do. It's evolved into what I think they call it. We're calling it the varsity team and the national team, so it wouldn't be any confusion. But we have one team that plays a national schedule, and then another team that plays a mid-level Florida schedule. And it's just it provides every kid on our team with a varsity experience. I mean, we have 2 staff. We work as one, but we break up on game nights. We prepare. Every kid in our program prepares for a varsity game, and they all play 11 games, unless, like the last 2 years, we have hurricanes, and then we have to cancel games, which has happened when Mother Nature won't allow it. But again, nobody could have, we couldn't have foreseen that 5 years ago that we would be at this point. But again, things have kind of fallen in place, and we've had great support, and we've been able to have some success, and that always helps.
One of the things that another thing that I remember about our tour of your academy was the educational aspect of what your athletes have to go through. I mean, it is really a college level curriculum type of activity where these kids, these student athletes are really they're prepared for a college atmosphere. Everything I saw was about getting them ready for the college schedule. Maybe you could talk a little bit more about that.
That was really important when my wife and I looked at coming down here, because we had two young kids. And, and what we do is, and as I tell families, this isn't for everybody because it is very equitable to what it's like to be a true college student athlete. And your day is completely split, from, you have, yes, there's a sports component, but that academic component is going to really drive your day and your night, because we'll be way off that practice field and you'll have study table at night. So, just to kind of give you a rundown, it's, our kids get up in football, they get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. If they have to go to treatment, they're in treatment between 6 and 6:45. They have breakfast check at 7 o'clock. They have to be there for breakfast from 7 o'clock to 7:30. We'll start meetings around 7:45 in season, and then we'll be on the practice field around 9. Off the practice field around 11:30 by the time we get done talking. The kids will have about an hour and a half to shower, eat lunch, and get to class, and then their academic day starts, and they'll go 1:15 to 5:45. And we're on a block schedule, very similar to what a college schedule is, 3 80-minute periods a day, and then 3 different 80-minute periods the next day. Mm-hmm. The kids at 5:45, they go eat. And then at 7:30 to 9, they have study table, and then they got to be in their rooms at 10:30, lights out. So, I always tell guys, hey, you can watch all the videos on YouTube if you want, and it looks very glamorous, but it's a lot of work. And we do not offer elective classes. I mean, everything is college bound classes, so it's all core classes. It's math, science, English, social studies, foreign language. And that's it. And you're either taking the regular college class, or you're taking an honors class, or you're taking an AP class. And so it is a huge transition. And, since I've been here, we've gone from 700 some students to 1,200 students. And, we've got kids from all over the world, and not just all over the United States, all over the world. So you've got kids coming in, and I think there's 80 different countries represented, different languages. It's quite the setup. And, so half the campus, and you mentioned the different sports on campus. So, half the campus, they have their sport in the morning, class in the afternoon. The other half has classes in the morning, sport in the afternoon. So it's set up like a college. So school never shuts down. Mm-hmm. It just never shuts down.
Yeah. No, when we were there, I got to tell you, Kevin, when we were there, we were in your weight room, and, there were some kids I recall that were really struggling with the difference that they were having to live under. They come from a high school environment. They're thinking, oh man, this is IMG. I'm going to, this is going to be the greatest experience. But then they realize the workload involved. There were a couple of kids that you were a little worried that they weren't going to be able to handle the pressure.
Yeah. I mean, it's not for everybody. And like I said, that's, sometimes that's not a great sales pitch, but it's transparent and it's the truth. It's not for everybody, and you have to be ready to step into a college-like environment because the expectations are that, and we have something called Dawn Patrol for our guys on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you're late or you miss something, you get up early, and there's extra physical activity involved, and just like it happens in college, and so. You've got to have that maturity level, and we always talk about the process, and everything is a process. And when you come here, you're playing the long game a little bit, because when you graduate, if you're able to make it through and you graduate, and a lot of our kids, the thing to do now is graduate in December, and we have summer classes that we take. I mean, our kids come back in the summer, which I should have mentioned as well. We're a boarding school, so they get done in first week of June, and they come back, towards the end of July, and there's about a 5-week period where they, we're practicing, but there's no school. Well, just like in college, they're in a seated summer school class. Mm-hmm. So they're always taking a class, but, it's just one of those things where, when you graduate in December and you look at our kids that have gone on, the the last few years that are playing as true freshmen. You know, the biggest hurdle sometimes is, do you have enough personal growth to be able to go through that type of environment? And, you know, I'll never forget 2 years ago, I went down to Alabama and was watching spring practice, and Dylan Moses, who was a freshman at the time, one of their starting linebackers, and Thomas Fletcher, who's a starting linebacker, or excuse me, who's a starting long snapper. They had just graduated in December, and I was there in March, and I said, so how you doing, guys? And they laughed, and, you know, it was good to see them. And they said, Coach, we got so much free time. And I go, what do you mean you got so much free time? They said, we don't have to check in and out. As you saw, there's 4 walls around the campus.
Yes.
Check out. They said, everybody's complaining it's like a prison here. They said, we have free time. You know, we didn't have much of that before. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. But again, it's not for everybody. But the guys that have been able to go through it, the success that they've had, you know, regardless of the level, it's been something we're proud of.
So let me ask, so the program has been around, correct me if I'm wrong, it's been 6 years?
Correct.
6 years.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 years you've been around, and consistently one of the top high school football teams in America, consistently since then. 2016, we get introduced to you. We like to go and tour the teams that are going to be competing in the Honor Bowl. We want to go out there and make sure that they know our heart. We want to make sure that they know the reason why they're going to be in our event and the purpose why. We wanted to go out there and meet IMG and your coaching staff and your people, is so that you guys could know our heart as to what we were trying to do with our mission statement and what we were really trying to do in educating the youth about military veterans. Hey, man, we believe that the true heroes of our nation are the men and women that fight, bleed, and die for our freedom. And we go in the locker rooms and we teach that. Before your games, you've been involved with it, Coach. You've seen it twice. You entered into our program in 2016, and we wanted you guys to know our hearts, right? And we left there after a day and a half of spending time with your academy going, oh my gosh, they get it. They get it. And you entered into our program. You come out to sunny San Diego in 2016. We match you up against a great team in Centennial. And I got to tell you, and I hope everybody gets it that hears this, whatever the rumor is that you hear about IMG, when it came to what we do at the Honor Bowl, you guys brought respect, you brought character, you brought brotherhood. Your whole program, from the time you arrived at the school, from the time you got on the bus and left, it was always top notch. So I want to commend you for that, Coach, for what you do and what you brought to the Honor Bowl. Let's get right into the meat of things. I mean, there's a lot of blogs, a lot of rumors, a lot of things that are going on out there about IMG. You know, what in regards to recruiting and, you know, you're banned from playing here, banned from playing there. How does the coaching staff handle that? How do you guys deal with that? You know, it's a tough schedule that you try to put together every year. You're constantly on national television. How does that work with you, and how does that affect your psyche?
Yeah, honestly, it has little effect. I mean, on our psyche or really on our mission. Yeah. And we always talk about block out. We tell our kids, you know, sometimes you just got to block out the noise, you know, and both ways, because you're going to get it in life. You know, at different times you're going to get it from a positive standpoint when you're on top, and then you're going to get it from a negative standpoint when you're not. And so block out the noise. Make the main thing, and really focus on why you're here and what you're doing. So I tell you, I got to be honest, I stopped reading blogs and all those things a long time ago. Before I got to IMG, before we were winning, you know, and, you know, you kind of can get hooked when you're younger and you know, because, you know, you don't really know any better. But I learned very quickly that Anonymous can say about anything Anonymous wants to say, you know, and you can't fight it. And the reality is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, what matters are the guys in our locker room. And that's what we always talk about. What matters are the guys in the locker room. And, you know, we use a lot of, and I think probably why we were a good match with the Honor Bowl and your mission is, you know, we use a lot of military analogies, you know, and things we do. And, you know, we just got done doing a what we call mini boot camp a couple weekends ago. We flew in Major Jeremy Tannehill, who flies Black Hawk helicopters, and I told you about that.
Yes.
You know, and you know, and the foundation of what we do starts with love and servant leadership. You know, and so, you know, those are things those are our focus. You know, and like we said, football is the ultimate, in my opinion, the ultimate team game, because 95% of your time is spent in preparation. Preparation of the mind, preparation of the body, you know, getting yourself ready for those 5% of the time where you actually get to compete in the game. So you know, the things we do outside Friday night are way more important. So, you know, I think that, you know, the kids, you know, when the kids come here, you know, they come here and you pour yourself into them, and we've got a tremendous coaching staff, a lot of experience, you know, and guys that, you know, at a boarding school, you have to be a mentor more than ever. And high school coaches are mentors in general, but like, you know, my wife sometimes gets on me, and I get on her too, but, you know, she's been on the phone, but I mean, I'm like, you know, honey, you know, this kid just called me, I got to call him back. Or this just happened, I got to call him back. That's what, it's 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, but who's got a sore throat, you know, and what's he supposed to do, you know? But, you know, the reality is that, you know, we are an option that kids have. I mean, there's so many options that kids and parents have anymore. You know, and school choices are popular. You know, school choice is a popular, you know, term right now, and giving parents opportunities. And, you know, in our place, in my mind, having been primarily a public school football coach who also taught in the classroom. And, I guess my students might, you know, they might question that a little bit, but I did when my dad was my history teacher too. But, you know, I get it, you know, I think I get it. And I get I get the criticism sometimes, but also living it and knowing the reality of it. I think I've got a pretty good balance of what's left.
Let me ask you this, Kevin.
Sure.
How does a student athlete find you? If we could get, you know, right down to that, how does a student athlete get into IMG?
It's like any other private school in the country. I mean, I think that, you know, if you heard me talk, we had 1,200 kids, you know, from 80 different countries and all over. So, you know, I think that the way we operate, we are full member, and again, this is something that just boggles my mind a little bit. We're a full-fledged member of the Florida High School Athletic Association. You know, so in the state of Florida, we're no different than any other private school in how, you know, we operate and such. Now, we choose to be independent, which we don't play in the state playoffs, and we do that because as a entity, boarding school, we do have people that all over the world are recruiting kids to come play here. Okay, now in the state of Florida, you know, a kid has to, if he wants to come to IMG, a kid has to go through. They have to call admissions. They have to document it, and you know, we're probably you know, no different than anybody else in that realm, other than probably there's a million eyes on us if we didn't do it right. I mean, you know, you know, the reality is that's how it works in Florida. Across the world, including, you know, across the United States, if we, you know, we're going to go market our program to as many people as we can. And, you know, the reality is that, you know, most people reach out to us and you know, to start the process. And that's the way it's really always been, with probably the exception when they started the program, when they had to just beg guys to come and you know, work out of trailers. But, you know, you have to apply to get into school. You have to have certain, you know, academic requirements. You have to apply for financial aid.
So you just don't take any great athlete. They've got to have the
No, we don't want. I don't want guys that can't survive here. You know, because it's not fair to them, And, it's not fair to us, quite honestly, because of all that we're going to have to put into people and pour into people and the sacrifices. You think about a boarding school, and I always say this, the biggest asset, a family should have are their children. And they're going to give their children to us early. I always thought, don't ever take for granted the title of coach, because only few people get called by their title, and that's one. But when you think about, parents who, choose to send their kids to a boarding school, it has to be a special kid, and to be able to do that. And then, the reality is that not everybody's able to even do it. One, from a personal growth standpoint, a maturity standpoint, but then two, when you throw that academic load in, of what they have to do, that's not going away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not going away. I mean, that's they have to do that. And having a daughter and a son, I see what they go through on a daily basis, just their regimen, and it's very much like a military academy in some realms, just from the standpoint of the expectation. So, you don't let people in unless you feel like they can fit the culture, and be able to be successful within the framework of what we do. And sometimes, they get here and, again, if they don't cut the grades, if they're not able to, again, if they don't make it every day to all we ask, then they're asked to leave school. Yeah. So, it's very comparable, like I said, to most private schools that I know of.
Yeah. Like I said, I remember being in that locker room and you walked over and we were having a nice conversation. And you just said, I don't know if that guy's going to make it. And it was just an honest opinion by you. And I got it because, you get to know the kids, you get to know the athletes, and it is a tough schedule. So, you know what, Coach? I wanted people, like I said, when I started this podcast, is I wanted people to know your heart, right? And I wanted people to know more about the Kevin Wright that I know, that I talk with when we're talking about schedulers and matching up games and all that other stuff. This is the guy that I know. This is the guy that is just a genuine father, husband, coach, like many of the coaches and many of the fathers and families are going to be watching this. It really has been a joy to get to know you, my friend, and to know more about your military respect has been a big thing for us with what we're trying to do with our program and getting it out there to really educate these athletes about, like I said, what a hero looks like. So, Coach, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy to be on this podcast. I look forward to working with you in the future. If we ever get that opportunity again. And, what we want to know is who on the West Coast, Rick just handed me this. He said, who on the West Coast or Hawaii does IMG want to play in the Honor Bowl? Do you know anybody out there that you want to play, Coach?
I think that, we love to play Mater Dei again. That was just a tremendous game, last year. I think that would be, the schools are very similar, in regards to, I think the amount of athleticism that you put on the football field, every year. Centennial Corona, golly, I mean, I have so much respect for what they do, Coach Logan, and just their, I always laugh, everybody thought when Chip Kelly was at Oregon, it was all about the offense, but they have, their program, I think just breeds success.
Yeah.
And, they are, they give you some real challenges schematically, but, they are a top program.
I remember you sideline after that game that we played, and you were just blown away by the size of their offensive line splits. Remember that? So wide.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I was as blown away as much as our defensive staff. So I try to tell, this isn't going to be a normal game. You can watch them on tape, but it's kind of like playing, Navy or Army or Air Force. I mean, until you have to play that type of offense, it's a whole different deal, and especially when they know what they're doing, and they obviously do. But I think modern day, I think Bosco obviously, Centennial, Corona. I mean, and the other we love in California, we love to play De La Salle just with the tradition, as they have, and we think that would be, a lot of fun, maybe to go to Northern California and play there. But, a lot of, there's a lot of Oaks Christian. There's a lot of really good football teams, in California, especially Southern California.
Remember, Coach, and I don't know if you recall this, but those are all California teams. And some things have to change. Some rules have to change in order to make that happen here in California. Anybody else that, you could think of out here on the West Coast, like would be fun to bring you in and compete about somebody other than California? You
could talk Bishop Gorman into playing. I think we'd love to play Bishop Gorman. That's they've had a great run, for the last decade. We played Chandler, Arizona, a couple years ago, and they have a fantastic program. St. Louis out of Hawaii, all the legendary. I mean, you could go to Punahou, Kahuki. They're Kahuka. I'm sorry.
Kahuka.
I think it's not quite the West Coast, but it's kind of in the middle. They're Pac-12. Valor Christian out of Colorado has a great program.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really good schools that I think we'd match up. We talked about Eastside Catholic earlier.
Yeah.
Out of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Playing California schools. We'll be back. It won't be too long. I mean, I really believe that. So, but it's been great.
You got the heart of Kevin. Kevin, thank you so much. I can't thank you enough for being on this podcast. Really, it's been a lot of fun. You've been a great person to get to know over the years. It's just been great to just learn more about you and your family. You really are a great family man and a good person. And I wanted people to get that. And I think you really let your heart shine today. And thank you so much.
3-5. Get some. 3-5. Get some. 3-5. Get some.
That's our military battalion that we support, the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, and we have fun with them every year with the Honor Bowl, and that's them doing their spiritual call. So, Coach, thanks again, buddy. And I know you're a busy man. I'm going to let you go, but it's a pleasure to get to know you. We'll do more of this in the future as we have you in the Honor Bowl in our program. And, just have a great summer and a great 2019 season. God bless you, buddy. This is Honor Radio signing out. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode.